think we really need to be clear that if you do come to this country, you will not be welcomed with open arms, you will not be living off the British taxpayer, and that you will be deported.
Morning, thank you for your company. I don't know if you saw at home, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has called for there to be a new minister role in charge of deportations.
Yes, Farage is going to appoint the role in his party, and he's urging the government to do the same as illegal immigration shows no sign of slowing down. So
the big question this morning is, should we have a minister for deportations? To debate this, we're joined by political commentator Kane Blackwell and migrant support coordinator Kay Marsh. Good morning to you both. Kay, we'll start with you, ladies first. Nigel Farage, good point, or is he just trying to grab headlines?
It's just a vote winner, isn't it? You know, what does it actually mean? Deportations are clearly happening under Labour, so somebody's already doing the job. Do we really need somebody new in post just for that purpose?
Well, I suppose, Kay, the argument would be that deportations might have increased slightly, but they're still tiny compared to the number of asylum applications that are refused. And he would argue that someone surely needs to be held to account for not carrying out the scale of deportations that seem to be needed.
That's his opinion on the matter, I suppose. Whoever's in government is going to decide how they approach such things, aren't they? It's more of a policy issue, I would say, than who's in post doing the job.
Kane, are you supportive of this idea? I suppose it looks good. It shows intent, doesn't it? If you've got a government that has a specific minister for deportations, it says to the public and to the world, we're serious about this.
Well, I think it definitely sets a change in tone, and that's for sure. And of course, I mean, it's headline grabbing, but that's politics at the end of the day. It's meant to be headline grabbing. But I mean, I think, like I say, it would set a real change in tone, and having a dedicated minister for deportations, it means that, you know, we're going to send a clear message that if you've broken into Britain, you will be deported. And that is really important. Now, we do have a border security minister already, you know, who has responsibilities for this sort of stuff. But like I say, it's a clear shift in tone, and that is really, really important. Now, we really do need strong deterrence and clear messages. And sadly, this weak Labour government has got rid of the only deterrent that we actually had in this country, which was Priti Patel's Rwanda plan. And, you know, now, sadly, I mean, you know, you have people like Kay, who I'm sure is really well intentioned, but unfortunately, when we say, oh, you know, it's absolutely fine if you come to this country, we'll welcome you with open arms, I think it frankly encourages people to cross the channel and make that dangerous journey. And I think we really need to be clear that if you do come to this country, you will not be welcomed with open arms, you will not be living off the British taxpayer, and that you will be deported.
Kay, he's got a point, hasn't he? I mean, the immigration and deportations are two separate issues. We have a Minister for Immigration, and the decisions that he or she makes are things like what visas to approve, you know, what are the skill shortages. But the idea of deportations is something entirely different. This is about removing people who have no right to be here, whether they are failed asylum seekers or their visas have run out. We should separate these issues, shouldn't we?
They are two separate issues, but they're two sides of the same coin, really, aren't they? And I think, you know, the messaging of stop the boats is very important, and Reform are just coming away from that and sort of putting it into a criminal context. Whatever side of the argument you sit on, stopping the boats should really be the priority. And I don't think, you know, talk about deportations once people are here.
But aren't deportations a key part of stopping the boats? Because if you know you'll never be deported, or there's a tiny chance that you'll be deported, as is the case now, then why would you not risk that journey?
Well, if that was the case, then all these deterrents would have worked and it would have stopped the boats, wouldn't it? If deterrents worked at all...
No, because we're terrible at deporting people, and since 2014, deportations have fallen and fallen and fallen. They're still very, very low as a percentage of people that arrive here illegally.
But even when the threat of Rwanda was on the table, it still didn't deter people from coming here, did it? When they thought they had a realistic chance of being deported to such a place as Rwanda, people still came, people still got in the boat. So deterrents don't work. We know that. It's been going on for such a long time. We need to take a completely different stance. It's really interesting, actually, because the local Reform candidate actually made a video stating one of my ideas, which was to open a processing centre in northern France. So, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? And calls into discussion their integrity, really, when they're backing ideas brought forward by the left.
Kane, last word to you.
Well, look, I still think, you know, there's no monopoly on good ideas, regardless of whatever they are and whoever's talking about them. You know, I'm not a member of Reform, so, you know, I think it's a good idea regardless. But I do think that we really do have to get serious now and start talking tough, because it is about, like I say, a clear change in tone. And, deterrents do work. We've seen it. We heard those testimonials of people in France saying, I will not come over if Rwanda's happening. We do know it does work. And sadly, we didn't get it off the ground, sadly enough, to actually make sure it worked. And actually, if we do get people deported, we will see things. We will see those boats stop. And that's the most important thing, because it's about saving lives.
Yeah, and I just to finish, I guess by definition, small boat migrants are illegal. They're illegal migrants, so which means by default they're criminals. But let us know what you think.
They've broken into our country. That's the point.
gbnews.com/you'll say thank you, Kane Blackwell, political commentator and migrant support coordinator, Katie Marsh.
We should say that the Rwanda plan was never operational, and therefore we don't know whether or not it was a deterrent. But we do know some people were waiting to cross until after the election, because they said if Labour get in, we know the Rwanda plan will.
And by the way, just look at the stats, 40-odd% up year on year, so something's not working.